I'm about to take on a giant Schnitzel challenge, and it comes with a pile of chips underneath. This challenge also includes a mug of your choice of either beer or soda. And if I can finish this Schnitzel challenge in under the 1 hour time limit, I'll get the entire meal for free. But if I can't and I fail, I'll have to fork over $75. Oh, by the way, I had to deal with more than just a challenge on this one. And the battle is on, as I'm at Hofbrauhaus, taking on their Schnitzel challenge. It was poppin' here, including some of the people dancing behind me. Then you've also got the band playing in the back as well, and it's loud, like real loud. Which is why I was doing my best to just drown that out while jamming to my own music while I took on this challenge. As far as this challenge goes, there are a few additional notes I want to make about the challenge. Of course, if you finish this within the 1 hour time limit, you get the meal for free, you also get your picture up on the wall of fame, and you also win a shirt. But check this out. Whenever you come back to the restaurant and you wear that shirt, you get a free beer, which I think is pretty cool. But there's one last prize you get if you win, which I had my sights set on the most. And that is you get a free hat. And not just any sort of hat, it's one of those wizard looking hats with the tall pointy top, like the ones you typically see witches wear or Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. And I really wanted it, like really wanted it. I thought it looked awesome. And with having the name like Magic Mitch, it's only fitting that I have a wizard hat, right? One thing I just gotta point out is that the salad that gets served with the challenge is not required. And while in most cases I'm down to get more greens in my diet, I am gonna prioritize eating whatever is required for the challenge first. Because also, I'm not feeling quite my best here during this challenge, but we'll talk about that later. During the early stages of the Schnitzel challenge, it was still piping hot, which is why I decided to start breaking off a few of those chunks just so it could cool off a bit faster. Then I had the game plan of just cutting off pieces along the way, just to make sure that it did keep warmer throughout the challenge. Then of course, as always, I'd be going to town and sending it down. As for the Schnitzel itself, flavor-wise, it was pretty good. The pork itself was soft, juicy, and flavorful, but yet still a bit on the chewy side. But you don't have to worry, if you've seen my last video, just know that I learned my lesson. Now as far as the breading, honestly, there was a bit more than I like. I generally prefer the style where it's just a very thin layer of breading around the outside, so you're able to taste more of the meat itself, and then the fried layer is more of a textured crunch. Because there was just so much breading, it did feel like I was eating a giant fried chicken tender, but it was made with pork instead, especially around the outsides and the corners, where you're just getting mouthfuls that are mostly breading. This really isn't a complaint or anything of the sort, it's just my honest opinion. If I was back home and I was getting served this exact same Schnitzel as a normal meal, I would be thrilled. Well, I mean, you throw just about any meat in front of my face and I'm gonna want to put it into my mouth, which is probably part of the reason what led me into doing food challenges in the first place. Okay, so let's address the elephant in the room. That is, the two ladies who were having a good time, acting a bit silly while dancing behind me, and sure, you might find what they were doing annoying and rude, but it's really not anything I haven't dealt with before. So I was just continuing to do my thing and let them do theirs. And I also had a show to put on anyways, for the fans who came out to watch. Just trying to make the best of the situation here. Though, I could be totally out of pocket, but I was starting to get a feeling those ladies might have been wishing that they were the Schnitzel challenge instead, and wanting to get a little magic of their own. But let me know in the comments down below what you think. Oh, as I look on in disgust, seeing that epidemic of phone addiction spread, I continue on, chipping away at this schnitzel. And this is where things get a bit tough. You know that show I was putting on? Rather than it being an action-packed adventure, it was starting to turn more into a prolonged drama. Like I said, I'm not feeling 100% here, but I'm trying to push through. And now flavor fatigue is starting to set in. And I don't know if you see it or not, but I was using the gravy and the lemon juice more than I typically would for a schnitzel challenge, as I was just switching up the flavors to try and keep things more enjoyable, especially towards the second half of this challenge. This is also partly the reason why I like having diet soda towards the end of my challenges too. Speaking of which, for my challenge, I went with a giant mug of soda. Again, I'm not looking to make this challenge any harder on myself than it already is. A little over halfway with the time, and I'm finally getting to the chips, which... You've heard me say this plenty of times before, but you know how I always say, fries are fries, or in this case, chips are chips? Well, this was a textbook example. There wasn't a lot to them, but there was a lot of them. And it's gonna be a grind. And the diet soda here was really coming in handy, acting as a nice palate cleanser and also helping me burp up any air pockets in my stomach, so I could basically cram it in with more potato. So this part here is kind of funny because at this point, I actually don't remember too much what was happening. I just sort of got into the zone and slipped into a flow state of eating and just continued to take down the chips, bite after bite after bite, until there were no more. Oh man, that was a bit of a tough one to get through, but I got the win. And more importantly, I'm getting that magical wizard hat for winning. Perhaps a nice piece of food fighting gear I might have to wear in the future. Now it's time to top it off with those post-challenge victory push-ups. And as I bust these out, to watch more from this trip, tap the video on the screen or click one of the links in the description down below and I'll see you there.